Boston Braun, not sure I'm sold on Bryant and Jones at the center should the Lakers give Hassan Whiteside a chance. So Thomas Bryant and Damian Jones. Look, the Lakers could do worse than Hassan Whiteside. Here's where it comes to be tricky for Los Angeles. Like, they've already occupied 2 roster spots on Thomas Bryant and Damian Jones, who are probably better suited to be backup centers. And now if you bring in Hassan Whiteside, you probably now have 3 backup centers without a bona fide number 1. And that's a little bit of a problem. And for the Lakers, this isn't a team that's depth. They're that is deep. They don't have a lot of shooting. They don't have a lot of athleticism. Yes, you have LeBron and Anthony Davis, but outside of that, huge questions, including at that 5 spot. Hassan Whiteside is a solid backup center. Last year, he averaged like 8 points per game, 7 rebounds, a block and a half per night. But the problem for LA, you have a logjam of backup centers, and that really isn't ideal for the purple and gold. If you're subscribed to us here at Chat Sports, thank you. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that sub button for the best NBA, NFL, and college football coverage. And if you are subbed to us, make sure you type Real One in the comment section because we love all of our real ones here at Chat Sports. Alec G, if the Lakers are giving up picks to move Russ, is it likely he comes back to OKC? It just doesn't make sense for Oklahoma City at all for Russell Westbrook to come back. They have this young, blossoming, growing, ascending team that has all of these young pieces who they're trying to give minutes to. Why would you curtail that development and that growth by bringing in Russell Westbrook, who isn't the same player that he once was when he was playing for OKC? And I have questions about who he is as a leader. I mean, so many reports about this past year in Los Angeles of him not accepting his role, him lashing out during these film sessions. You want to be able to groom these young players and say to Josh Giddey, Chet Holmgren, this is how you carve out a successful NBA career. This is how you become a perennial playoff team. I'm not sure that Russ is able to offer that to the Thunder. He's a future Hall of Famer, a breathtaking talent. I want no part of him nowadays, though. Trey VJ, what do you think is going to happen with the Lakers remaining this offseason? I think they're just waiting for a potential Kyrie Irving trade. That's really the big domino to fall for LA. And if they don't trade for Kyrie Irving, are their trade conversations going to be dead? Now, there have been some rumblings about them being interested in Buddy Hield as well as Miles Turner, but the Indiana Pacers would have to take on that Russell Westbrook contract. And why would it make sense for Indiana, a rebuilding team, to bring on Russ outside of just the financial commitment of being a salary dump-off destination? Maybe that's why it does make sense, but if I'm Indiana, I want to try to stockpile young talent. I don't need to take on Russell Westbrook. And also for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, I want back a little bit more. Some might say the Warriors are offseason winners. They won a championship and they were able to get good value deals and replenish that talent to a certain degree. But who do you think is the biggest NBA offseason winner? Give me a name right now in the comment section. We start off this mailbag with this one coming in from SM. He joins us every single week because we've been going live on NBA Now multiple times per week. Shout out to SM for being a loyal subscriber. It looks like Kyrie Irving is going to stay with the Brooklyn Nets. What is the Lakers' plan B? I think their plan B, it's running it back with Russell Westbrook, not making many other moves. Now, I don't agree with that plan. I don't like that plan. And recently on Chat Sports, I just listed the top 10 starting lineups in the NBA. Lakers weren't even close. I was going through the list. They're middle of the pack in the NBA. Now, if they receive and land Kyrie Irving, things change. You bring back Russell Westbrook, they stay in the middle of the pack of the NBA. I don't think they're really a well-constructed basketball team. You still have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. That's great. That allows you to compete in the thick of a playoff race, no question about it. But you bring in Kyrie, it changes the complexion of the team. Looks as though he's going to stay with the Nets as long as Kevin Durant comes back. If a KD trade happens, then I think that is the signal for Kyrie Irving to get traded. The Lakers' plan B, I think it's to go to Russell Westbrook because they're financially hamstrung up to this point. Loyalty, looks like the Lakers are keeping the big three. Anyone else they should sign? It's slim pickings right now. It's really slim pickings. And I agree, Loyalty. It looks as though the Lakers are going to move forward with Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, and I don't really agree with it. Now, if KD gets traded, Kyrie is going to get dealt. And if Kyrie gets traded, I think there's only one trade partner out there that makes sense. It's the Lakers because LeBron James is one of the few players in the league who can take on the drama that surrounds Kyrie Irving. And we've seen it actually work before, and the Lakers have a need at that point guard spot. I think the Lakers become a better team in doing so with Kyrie as compared to Russ. But is there anyone else that they should sign? Slim pickings. Reunion with Dennis Schroeder, LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMarcus Cousins, Dwight Howard, Jeremy Lamb. Those are some of the players out there. Colin Sexton, probably a little bit too expensive unless you deal away Russ. That would be my plan B. Go after Colin Sexton. Evan Hinders, Lakers, trade Westbrook and 2 firsts for Mike Conley. You don't want to do that. If you're going to do that, and according to reports, the Pacers stopped trade conversations with the Lakers because the Lakers weren't willing to include that second first-round pick. If you're the Lakers, you don't make that trade for Mike Conley. You make that trade, in my opinion, for Buddy Hield as well as Miles Turner. That's what, to me, moves the needle, not an aging and expensive point guard whose game has gone downhill the last couple of years. So, Evan, I kind of see where you're coming from. If it was Mike Conley several years ago, maybe. Not the player who he is on the price tag that he's on over the next couple of years. But Bob Berta, NBA breakout candidates. This will be the last segment, or the last question, in our mailbag. Yeah, you know what? I sometimes I just plan ahead and I put together some of these lists. Last week, it was my top 10 players, and we have this in the database, some of my NBA breakout candidates, because we like to stockpile these graphics in case we do them on a show at some point. So good job by producer Coop for pulling this up, but here's some of my breakout candidates here. And I'm going to exclude rookies because that's kind of our chat sports rule, right? How can a rookie be a breakout candidate? But year 2 guys and beyond, they can be deemed as breakout candidates. Tyrese Halliburton has been really good throughout his NBA career, but I look at breakout candidates like in the running for most improved player, and it's kind of a combination of both. Halliburton can become, I believe, a borderline superstar in this league and a future all-star. He was awesome for Indiana last year, really good for Sacramento. One of the few players in the history of the NBA who's actually wanted to play for the Kings, and they still dealt him away. Jalen Green, last couple of months of last year, arrow pointing up for him, started to find his groove, started to have some confidence. Early in his rookie campaign, it was a little bit rocky, really started to turn that corner and turn it on at the end of the year. OG Anunoby, just look at the numbers that he's put up the last couple of years, continues to get better and better and better and better. He's always had the length, the bulk, and the athleticism, but with OG Anunoby, the offense is what continues to blossom. And then Jalen Suggs, big year 2 for him. And this is a team that I think is a good complementary cast for what Jalen Suggs does well. A little bit confused as to why Orlando played him so much off ball last year, also dealt with a couple of injuries. But if he can settle into that point guard role, I think that'll allow him to kind of maximize his ability. So right there, 4 breakout candidates for me. Tyrone Sankey, what do you think of this 3-team trade? The Heat get KD, Nets get Bam, Max Strus, Tyler Hero, and Russell Westbrook, and 5 first-round picks, and the Lakers get Ben Simmons. You know, Tyrone, that's really interesting. And you know about that rookie provision because you can't have 2 players on a roster who sign rookie max contracts while on their rookie deals. So because of that, you can't have Ben Simmons and Bam Adebayo on the same team. You'd have to get rid of Simmons. I think Simmons on the Lakers would be a pretty interesting fit. That would thrust Anthony Davis into that 5 spot, not a position that he's wanted to play, but if he's smart and if he wants mismatches, which who doesn't, I think he ends up taking on that role. The Heat getting KD makes them, once again, a championship contender. With the Nets, it's all about the rebuild at that point, and I think you rebuild with Bam, Max Strus, Tyler Hero, and you just take on that Russell Westbrook contract, and you get 5 first-round picks, so that allows you to get some good player assets right now and then build in the future. Tyrone, I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie. Jay Fish, Draymond Green threatens to team up with LeBron if not offered a max extension. You put Draymond on the Lakers, that's an interesting team. LeBron at the 3, let's say the wing. Draymond at the 4, Anthony Davis at the 5. You got to figure out point guard and 2 guard. Maybe you trade for Buddy Hield. You bring in a solid point guard who can play make and maybe not be a primary scorer. But Colin Sexton, look, I think you just make me the Lakers general manager after I just did that. Now, find a way to make it happen, right? Trade for Colin Sexton. trade for Buddy Hield, LeBron James at the 3, Draymond at the 4, if he opts out next year with that player option, and then Anthony Davis at the 5. That allows you to compete for a championship over the next couple of years. Also, LeBron's status, his future in LA, that's also a little bit unknown because he's going into the final year of his deal as well. Lazy Laker, what's the latest on Kai Sotto after he didn't get drafted? So just some context, during the NBA draft lead-up, we were talking a lot about international prospects from all across the globe, and there was a big interest in Kai Sotto because we have a large Filipino audience. By the way, everybody in the Philippines tuning in, if you were impacted by that earthquake that registered on the Richter scale of more than 7, I hope that all of you are safe and sound in the Philippines because we here at Chat Sports love you. And Kai Sotto, hopefully him and his family are okay because he was attempting to be the first Filipino basketball player who was born in the Philippines to get drafted. Now, Jordan Clarkson and Jalen Green are of Filipino descent, but Kai Sotto was trying to make history. As we know, he didn't get drafted. So here's the latest with Kai. He did go undrafted. I thought this was weird that he didn't participate in the NBA Summer League. Would have been a great opportunity for him to showcase his skills. The average attendance per day at a couple of those Summer League games, 11,000. They broke records, and he could have played in that and gained a lot of traction, maybe signed a UDFA deal. I've always said this. If Taco Fall and Boban Marjanovic can play in the NBA, I think Kai Sotto deserves a shot. Because he didn't play in the Summer League, because he didn't get drafted, he is under contract in the NBL in Australia, one of the best international leagues in the world with the Adelaide 36ers, and he's expected to assume a larger role with the team because the 36ers going to lose some players in that front court. So this past year only played about 15 minutes per game. The production was pretty solid. This upcoming year, maybe he even improves his stock a little bit so that he can carve out a role on an NBA roster. Before we continue on our mailbag, taking all these questions from our loyal subscribers, you might be subscribed, but are your notifications on? If they're not, make sure you turn them on. Therefore, anytime we go live, anytime we publish a video, you will be notified and receive that push notification. How do you do it? You follow the steps right here to my right. You go to the settings portion on your app, on your phone, scroll down, tap YouTube, tap notifications, and then turn on allow notifications. Therefore, again, once we do anything here at Chat Sports, you will stay in the know.